Doctor Strange is the 14th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and of course that's not even counting 6 seasons of shows on television and 4 seasons of shows on Netflix and a bunch of shorts. So, how does Marvel manage to avoid series stagnation or fatigue? How do we get people to continue to be excited about a new Marvel movie or project? Well, by branching out and taking risks every once in a while. Believe it or not, the first of those risks was The Avengers. It seems like, in hindsight, like the safest film they could have done, but honestly, at the time, it was kind of a crazy idea. Then they took further risks with the offbeat Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man films, the Netflix series. Now we get a film about a character that isn't super popular and really never was, and leaves all the superheroics and sci-fi stuff behind and gives us magic. And I must add, this is new, as the normally magically laden Thor franchise eased off of that, making the gods of Asgard beings from another planet who are just very long-lived and powerful, and their science is sufficiently advanced enough to seem like magic, but it's still science. But with Doctor Strange, this is a movie, the only setup we've gotten was a brief name drop in Captain America the Winter Soldier, a movie that not only features magic, but is very much about magic. Stephen Strange is a brilliant but extremely arrogant neurosurgeon. If you want another character to compare him to, he's a bit like Dr. House. He's arrogant and smarmy, but he's sort of earned it. But at the same time, he pushes the boundaries of what he can get away with. He's also not that different from Marvel's own Tony Stark in some ways, but is enough of his own character. Strange seems to have it all, but gets into a car crash which gets him extensive nerve damage in both of his hands, basically ensuring that he'll never be able to perform surgery again. Instead of retiring, he focuses all of his time, effort, and money into looking for ways to heal his hands, but he can't find other doctors willing to take the risks that he would normally find acceptable. He hears of a man who made a miraculous recovery from severe spinal injury and seeks him out, which leads him on a quest to find Kamar-Taj, which turns out to be the home of the Ancient One, a sorceress who teaches and trains others. At first, Strange balks at the idea of magic, believing that he'd find miracles, but ones grounded in medicine, not spirituality. But when he gets a taste of real magic, he becomes a believer. Strange is at first a slow student due to his unwillingness to really embrace the idea of magic, but once he does, he becomes very good at it, due to the same drive and determination and hard work that made him such a brilliant surgeon. However, the Ancient One isn't training people in sorcery just to share the gift. She's training them to guard the world against magical threats that superheroes like the Avengers couldn't even comprehend, much less face against. The main villain is a former student of hers, Caecilius, who stole forbidden knowledge from the temple and is seeking to weaken Earth's defenses against a realm that exists beyond time, the home of the evil god Dormammu, who wishes to consume all of the universes into his own stagnant, timeless realm. So magic, the multiverse, it's all very Silver Age Marvel comics, and if you, like me, have read the early Doctor Strange stories from the 70s, it's all pretty familiar. What makes the film work is that it takes what the comics did and what the comics wanted to do, and it amplifies them. This isn't a movie where wizards shoot spells that look like laser beams at each other, nor is it one where they chant ancient words and create circles. This is a world where magic is chaotic and psychedelic, just like the old Doctor Strange comics. The sorcerers bend and twist reality around them, freeing themselves from the shackles of physics with fluid motions and crazy colors. The special effects in this are a real treat. Every shot is already beautiful due to the great sets and locations, but when magical battles start taking place, everything becomes twisted, distorted, refracted, and duplicated. The movie's visual style shows imagination and a free-thinking perspective on how it all works, but it still seems to be orderly in a way. It follows a set of rules, even if the rules are cryptic and arcane. In some ways, I was actually reminded strongly of Star Trek. Obviously, there's no science fiction here, but Star Trek was never about the science. It was about the wonder of doing things that man has only dreamed of. And it would all be waved away by technobabble that sounded right because it sounded just silly enough to be something just beyond our current comprehension. The movie feels like that, and it also doesn't hurt that the original score was done by Michael Giacchino, who created the score for the new Star Trek film, so the feel is all very similar. It's just using magic instead of futuristics. The actors all do a great job. Cumberbatch is snarky and arrogant, Tilda Swinton is ethereal yet forceful, Mads Mikkelsen is zealous and driven, Chiwetel Ejiofor is stoic and rigid. they all do a great job. The movie is also very self-contained, mentioning the Avengers one time near the beginning of the movie, and there's a small, almost throwaway line near the very end that ties the movie into the grander scheme of the MCU, but they're telling one story here, not setting up others. There is an obligatory cameo, but it happens in the mid-credits sequence. Doctor Strange also has a lot of funny moments. Even in the midst of battle, there's a sort of slapstickiness to it, most of which involves the cloak of levitation that Doctor Strange acquires and his difficulty controlling it at first. My single only complaint about the film is the humor, while it's usually well placed, is sometimes a little overdone. I think it could have been dialed back just a little bit. Now, next year, Marvel will up the ante by, for the first time, releasing 3 movies in this series in 1 year. A second Guardians of the Galaxy, a Spider-Man movie, and the next Thor movie. Clearly, they are confident that their brand will continue to excel and draw in big numbers and good reviews. And it seems to me that the Marvel films excel the best when they take risks, and they only suffer when they play it too safe. It seems like they know what they're doing. And Doctor Strange is a testament to how they could seemingly take any weirdo character and write a compelling film around him. I give it a 9 out of 10. And yes, the Halloween series will resume.